And let's bring in the aforementioned senior correspondent, Alicia Acuna, outside the home there. Alicia, we're watching these pictures from the Fox flight team. Clearly, there is something happening over there. We don't know exactly the nature of it. What can you tell us from your vantage point?
Guys, thank you so much for joining me. John Soto, this is SotoCast, taking a look at some new footage we have out here out of Arizona. Please give me a subscribe if you can. That's all I need, just subs. Thank you so much.
Hi, Kevin. I can set the scene here for you. About an hour and a half ago, we had a sheriff's deputy come up, park in front of the home. That caught everyone's attention. Now, not too long ago, within the last 20 minutes or so, we saw an unmarked vehicle with law enforcement drive up. The two spoke, they got back in their cars, and then we saw yet a third member of law enforcement walk up. 3 people walked to the back, 2 to 3 people walked to the back, and you can see them now. And they are what our drone team is describing to us. The Fox flight team is describing this as possibly a manhole. I heard Jonathan say that it could be some sort of water drainage. Either one of those is possible. We're not quite sure. But they've been poking around in there, almost like they're looking for a sample of some sort. Looking into this area. We've been kept back just a bit, actually. Usually when
they're not looking for a sample, all right? Just so that everyone knows. I mean, that looks like they're looking for a body. I could be wrong. I've had a lot of some experience in this area. But yeah, they look like they're looking for a body. I'd be interested to see what those manholes looks like prior to, if they were, because it looks like those things are pretty heavy duty grades to go on top. Looks like they probably took a lot of strength to get out. Obviously, if they were just open like that, and somebody could easily fall in there and just kind of disappear. But it looks like they're looking for a body. I don't know how they would be looking for evidence with a little stick like that. But let's see what where the report goes.
They have some sort of activity here at the site of Nancy Guthrie's home. We're often pushed back. The media is pushed back so they can do their job. Clearly, they're not concerned about that right now because we've all been allowed to stay as law enforcement continues its work to the back. Kevin?
Let me ask you about the searches that were happening, Alicia, Saturday over at the home of Annie Guthrie. Have you heard anything about the nature of those searches?
Everything we've gotten has been from our Fox Digital team. They were on site when about 4.5 hours after Savannah Guthrie and her siblings released that most recent video. They arrived at that home. They were there for about 2.5 hours. And according to our Fox team on the ground there, they could see, they could hear clanking, some noise being made. They could also see in the garage area what seemed to be flashes of light coming from a camera. And then they noticed in another whole opposite side of the house, we don't know if it was a bedroom, but it was definitely a different room. They started seeing flashing lights, camera flashes, they assumed as well. They also...
The other thing when it comes to investigations like this is there are obviously a lot of things that people are just going to... you can't glaze over anything, no matter how, dumb it may seem. This might just be a box check that they just need to do. Say, listen, did we check the freaking septic tank or whatever the hell this happens to be? It's just one of those things where just send a guy out there just so that we can, obviously we know that she can't lift up this thing and jump in there or whatever, but we still have to check it off, right? It's just like if you have a missing person or whatever, you have to run through you have to check, obviously the entire house must be checked inside and out. That's the first thing you go to, all the closets, all the stuff like that. Even though it might seem dumb, I'm assuming that they did that in this case, even though they released the crime scene very, very quickly. But in any type of missing persons case, phase 1 is where they were last seen, where their home is, where they left from. You have to give that a thorough canvas, a thorough look, and whether it's the roof, the attic, all the places, the basement, all the little nooks and crannies that are within the home that somebody can get into for whatever reason. We don't know, but you have to check that stuff off in order to say that you actually did a thorough investigation.
Noticed that someone inside the home put up something to cover the window, probably as to, to keep the media from knowing exactly what they were doing. They were in there for quite some time, Kevin. Also, one of the agents was seen walking out. He had latex gloves on. They had a white folding table. They also carried out, one of the agents, a brown paper bag. We obviously don't know what's in it, but when you look at those types of behaviors and what law enforcement was doing there for so long, the family wasn't there, we understand. The question is, was this evidence collection? Because the behaviors there, if you go back to any other case that you've covered, Kevin, you and I both, that looks and sounds a lot like evidence collection. As Jonathan mentioned, the Sheriff's Department reiterates, just as this is happening, that they will not be holding a news conference, that they won't be coming forward with any new information at this time. They still don't have a vehicle.
It's a pretty light grate. He was able to pick that up relatively easily. It's not like a cast iron grate. That's not a very heavy duty manhole cover that he was messing around with there.
Of interest, and they still don't have a person of interest. However, there is a tremendous amount of evidence collection going on. Obviously, there is a tremendous amount of activity happening as well. We have not had a news conference from the sheriff of Pima County since Thursday.
And I understand if the pictures were accurate that apparently someone in leadership over there was at a basketball game, which is probably not the best look for the department, but I'm not certain if that's actually been verified. But let me ask you while we have you, Alicia, I know that local news has been a bit of a repository for information regarding alleged demands, alleged requests made. Is that also happening in local Spanish TV, to your knowledge? And what, if anything, can we glean from the fact that the alleged abductors continue to be working at least somewhat to get the word out to local media?
It is interesting, isn't it, Kevin? Because obviously the kidnapping of Savannah Guthrie, an NBC News star, her mother, was going to garner national attention. And whoever's behind this decided to reach out to, as far as we know, 2 local TV stations here in the Tucson area. In addition to TMZ, they did not reach out to NBC, the employer of Savannah Guthrie. So only the person who's done this knows what the thinking is behind that, why those 2 local stations. There are other stations here. You asked about Spanish language. I cannot answer that question. I do not know. But it is compelling. And one of the stations received yet a second note. They did not release it to the public. They did tell us, though, one of their hosts went on one of the other networks and said that that note did not contain proof of life. It did not contain another deadline. And they really didn't go into much more detail.
Yeah, and that's the part that obviously the family is so desperate to see. We want to see proof of life so that, and again, they said in the video that we played, listen, we'll pay. We just want Nancy back. Stay on it for us, Alicia Acuna. We appreciate your time.
Hey, it's Will K.
I mean, it's a you know, these types of things, they happen relatively often. Obviously, the ransom side isn't particularly something that happens very often because that deals with a high-profile people. Ransom and stuff like that. This happens very often in other third world countries and stuff like that. Interesting case. Yeah, it's very hard to have an opinion on it because there's so little that we actually know. It seems like from the onset that things were maybe not done extremely well. The problem with all of these agencies is that you have to, in order to solve cases like this, in order to be very accomplished, I don't know exactly how to do it. You need to get reps in, right? A lot of people haven't dealt with a situation like this where they have a kidnapping with a ransom, a potential ransom. It may just be a kidnapping. It may just be she walked out of the house. No, I haven't seen anything where somebody's come forward with me and said one way or another that this is what's going on. Because maybe either because they don't know, they don't want to bury the lead. I'm not really sure. But you need people that where this is like second nature to, and that's kind of hard to get in a situation like this that happens so infrequently. But you pull from all of your other investigative knowledge. You pull from everything else that you've dealt with in law enforcement, whether it be other types of crimes, whether it be robberies, bank robberies, burglaries, assaults, everything that you do in the realm of law enforcement when it comes to investigation, you can stitch in those things into a case like this in order to, solve it, in order to get the outcome that you're looking for. And I don't know. I haven't seen the best things coming out of the FBI as of late. And then I don't know these particular local law enforcement, how much experience they have, or for really anything. When you're talking about a rural town and stuff like that, it's just very difficult to get people with a massive amount of experience into an area like that. Big city, there's nothing that compares with big city experience when it comes to law enforcement. You can't buy it. You can't train for it. You just have to live through it. And that's how that stuff is curated. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. John Soto, this is SotoCast. We will be following up with this story again, I'm sure relatively soon. But this was the latest out of Arizona. Thank you so much for joining me. See you on the next video, guys. Take care.